Welcome to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Bonati alongside Ethan Youker and world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati. We have an exciting show lined up and a lot to get to. Let's get started. So a program that offers free vodka and beer to homeless alcoholics in San Francisco received backlash recently by those who question, the logic of feeding the addictions of the city's downtrodden. Joining us to discuss is Ervin Lee, a man who knows a thing or two about addiction and how to overcome it. He is the founder of a faith-based recovery program called From Beer to the Bible. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me on to address such a pressing topic.
It is. Now, before we actually get into your story, what were your thoughts about hearing that San Francisco was really planning to give away alcohol to addicts?
Well, nothing really surprises me anymore about California, but I think the program itself is reckless, careless, and unloving. Because why would you give a person something that ultimately you are keeping them in bondage to their addiction and can ultimately lead to their demise?
It's estimated to cost the city of San Francisco $5 million a year to manage alcoholism. Seems like those funds could be used in a better way for, say, actual treatment and things of that nature if they truly want to help the homeless and the alcoholics.
I agree with you. And I would say there are three pillars that money could be used for. One is prevention. The other is treatment, as you mentioned, and then aftercare ongoing for those who've suffered and recovered from drug and alcohol addiction.
It doesn't make any sense that the city would say, hey, if you got a problem, come on in. And then I don't know how they're going to, not only is it not going to help these people get any better, but a lot of them are just going to be like, wow, this is amazing. It's like open bar. Anytime we want, we can just walk in, pour ourselves a beer, grab a shot of vodka.
Well, the thing that I would say that it adds no real value. And part of recovering and getting help for addiction, I know this well, is the ability to surrender and say, I need help. But if you're feeding and keeping me addicted, why would I ever want to seek sobriety? Where's the motivation in that? And the thing that really, really upsets me is I look at it and I say, where's the compassion? And where's the love in that? My goal is to love God and to love others. That means all of the people who exist on planet Earth, including those who are addicted to drugs and alcohol. They need our love, our help, and our support more than most people.
Now, why don't you tell us more about your story? Because you really had it all. You had a great career at a Fortune 500 a company, prospering business, happy marriage. How did it all go downhill?
Well, I found myself with what one would consider the American dream. I had a business, I had time, I had resources, but what was missing in my life was I felt like the world lied to me. They tell you if you get these material possessions, if you live in a certain neighborhood, you'll be happy. So I found myself with everything the world promised, and I was void, I was empty, I was depressed, and I was without purpose. And I like to say it this way: I had time, resources, and no God. And that's a horrible place to be. And I literally just sought to destroy myself through drinking.
What I understand, the business that you owned was a liquor store chain. So, I mean, not saying they're mutually exclusive, but that had to have fed into how you became such a heavy drinker. Am I right?
Yes, I would say so. Most of my life, I have been in the beverage alcohol industry. So up until 3 years ago, that's the first time I did not derive any income from the sale, marketing, and distribution of alcohol. So alcohol really became the substance that I would use, whether I was happy, whether I was sad, if I had a good day, argument with my wife. It was where I found my comfort. It was where I found my joy. And you're supposed to find those things in, my belief is in Jesus Christ. So I was finding those things in alcohol. And a lot of people fail to realize alcohol is a depressant. So I became depressed. So here I am sitting in the house. I got a business. I got a beautiful wife. And I found myself wanting to die. I actually asked the living God if I could have death. And his reply was quick, fast, and in a hurry. He said, "No, I don't give death. I give life. And I need you to get up." So I got up and I spent 31 days in treatment. And my wife also had such a problem trying to identify the resources available to addicts and alcoholics. So we sat out and said, after our struggle trying to find a treatment center, a counselor, that we didn't want anyone else to go through what we went through to get me into drug and alcohol treatment. It actually took my wife 48 hours to locate a treatment center. And it shouldn't be that way. And our goal is anyone who reaches out to us, we want to get you within 12 to 24 hours. We want you walking into a treatment center to find the relief that you need and the recovery.
You talk about a spiritual sobriety kit. Can you delve into what you mean by that?
Yeah, when I got to treatment, the amazing thing to me was the 12-step recovery book did not come with all the additional money that I was paying. So you had to buy that separately. And what happens with a lot of people when they get to treatment, they're at the end of the road. They don't have any money, or they have very little money. So you've got to buy your own Bible. You've got to also provide your own toiletries, and you've got to buy the AA 12-step book. So part of our kit is we put all of that together for anyone who comes through our program so that you have that.
Well, I think it's a tremendous thing that you're doing, trying to help people really break addiction instead of feeding it like they are in San Francisco. Thank you so much, Ervin Lee, for being on the program and your recovery program, From Beer to the Bible.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Stay tuned. We'll have more on American Medicine Today.
The loss of coordination in my legs, I'd trip over my feet, end up flat in the concrete. Dr. Bonati to me was God sent. Walk like that no longer. I don't remember how long. I didn't have to make a massive lifestyle change. I noticed today that I could sit and stand up without a cane. I would have to give it excellent and above my expectations.
Visit AskBonati.com. Matthew Davis from Palm Harbor, Florida is a very busy entrepreneur and business owner, but excruciating cervical spine issues were slowing him down.
Felt some discomfort up in my neck, and then gradually about a month later, I do a lot of work on my computer in my home, and one day woke up and had both my index finger and my pinky finger had no feeling whatsoever. You could basically draw a line. I could feel my thumb, pointer finger, middle finger. These two I could not. And then right down the middle of my hand, all the way up through my arm, as far as loss of feeling, numbness, tingliness, which affected my daily routine. I was having an issue with mobility as far as moving back and forth. I wasn't able because it was affecting my whole right side. The mobility to the left was great. The mobility to the right was not there. I had a very hard time turning. The pain was at sometimes very excruciating. It was better if I was laying down at nighttime. With losing these two fingers in my right hand, as far as typing, I really had to adjust on my keyboard. That really affected me. You take for granted every day that you can use your fingers and your hands and your arm, and when that gets taken away, is a huge issue.
Matt was trying conservative treatments to resolve his pain. When those therapies failed, he contacted the Bonati Spine Institute based on multiple recommendations from friends.
I had been going frequently to my chiropractor. It was relieving some of the pain, but the pain was only for maybe a day and a half to 2 days. And then I also sought out acupuncture as well, and that had no effect whatsoever. A very good friend of mine, his wife, 8 years ago had surgery at the Bonati Spine Institute with a 100% success rate.
Matt made the short drive to the Bonati Spine Institute located in Hudson, Florida for a full evaluation, including an MRI at the on-campus imaging center.
After my MRI, Dr. Wolf kindly sat down with me and went thoroughly through my MRI.
Encouraged by his thorough evaluation, Matt scheduled his exclusive Bonati Spine Procedures.
I was totally aware of what was going on at all times. The greatest thing was being able to communicate with them. Instant relief as far as the neck pain was alleviated and feeling much better. I was able to actually feel my fingers, feel my hand, my forearm, my shoulder was coming back, and I could actually feel through my shoulders, all the way up to my shoulders, I should say. Through the bicep was actually feeling normal again.
Matt recounts his overall positive experience and speedy recovery from his targeted Bonati Spine Procedures.
It started from everywhere on down, from Dr. Craig Wolf to the anesthesiologist to the nurses who prepped me, made me feel totally comfortable, and I couldn't be more blessed not to have to wear a neck brace like a lot of other places do and institutions do. I was able to return back to work in 7 days, which was absolutely amazing. And so now it's been about 3 months, a little over 3 months. I'm able to do those physical activities again. I've got my life back. Since my surgeries at Bonati Spine Institute have probably already referred 4 to 5 people over. And a couple people have actually gone through and had procedures already at Bonati Spine Institute, literally a month and a half after I've gone through. And again, their success rate has been just phenomenal as well. So to anybody out there, look no further. Bonati is the only place you should go.
To see more stories of recovery just like this, search for the Bonati Spine Institute on YouTube, Rumble, Apple's App Store, Google's Play Store, Roku, and Amazon's Fire TV. Welcome back to American Medicine Today. So drug shortages in the U.S. are at an all-time high, with low supplies of everything from life-saving injections to diabetes medications, affecting hospitals, pharmacies, and patients around the country. Joining us to discuss is Dr. Shawn Rowland, founder and CEO of Jase Medical. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Certainly. Now, we've been covering these drug shortages for quite some time now. Why are many of these essential drugs hard to come by?
Really what it boils down to is here in the United States, 90+% of what we consume are generic medications, non-brand name medications, things that have been out for a long time. And unfortunately, over the years, we have gotten now to a place where virtually 100% of those medications are produced overseas, typically in places like China and India.
Why are we so reliant on foreign nations, like you said, India and China, mainly for these drugs? And also, we recently did a segment on the fact that the FDA flagged them for just about everything, from sanitation to just quality of medication. But seemingly nothing gets done about that because we are so reliant on them. Why do you think that is?
I can't think of too many things that are more important than what we actually ingest into our bodies, and having proper oversight and regulations in that regard. We've got all these factories in China that are operating without much oversight. Even when it comes down to some of the regulations that they've been able to work into the deal, where not even the FDA knows where they're procuring some of their ingredients. There's just an overall lack of transparency in the industry. Now, on top of that, they just layer in the economics of it. As I said, these are generic medications. The margins are slim, so you follow the money. And so now we've got these factories in far-flung places where there's been some consolidation. You might have 1 or 2 factories making a key ingredient for the entire world's supply of a medication like doxycycline, for example, a common antibiotic. At the end of the day, it becomes a national security issue that, you're right, we've been spinning our wheels a lot and talking about it a lot, but I have yet to see any action that is really bringing production back to the United States. making it so that other companies can start to produce these medications. There's a lot of places we could start, and so far we're kind of just left to our own devices.
We need to start to talk about just some direction to bring back the industry here. We create the industry here, and why we abandon that industry is just economic.
The financial aspect of it is a big part of it. There's a big strategic component to it. There's a lot of competing interests here. What I found in my profession, and even me as a physician, before I got into this, before I started Jase, I had no idea about our dependence on China for our pharmaceuticals. It's just not common knowledge. People don't know when they go to Walmart or wherever they get their prescriptions from, and that medication is not made in the United States. So I think it's really just raising awareness, letting people know this is what's going on, this is why it's important. And while right now there didn't used to be a lot of options of what could you do, bringing production back to the U.S. is no small undertaking. It's going to take a lot of different invested parties to make something like that happen. It's a national security issue. I think government should be involved. But in the meantime, what do we do as individuals? What do you do for yourself, for your family? It's why we formed Jase. It's something I feel very passionate about, and it's why I'm here trying to raise awareness about it.
If this is economic, how is possible that we throw money in such a bad way that is shameful, and we cannot create an industry? We cannot create small laboratories, and those small laboratories are very difficult to invest how much money it is. Because if you start with one medication, you have a laboratory, and you start to grow with that medication, then the possibility that you can add other ones once you start to grow, even if the need is so enormous, then you have everything. Why that is not being done?
We have all the pieces. You're absolutely right. If you look historically, there was actually, it was a concerted strategic effort. The Chinese government came in and subsidized the market to the degree that the other U.S. factories and producers, whether they were ignorant to it or whether they were financially motivated, we dropped the ball. And now here we are in this really difficult position. But I totally agree with you. It's something that can be fixed. All the pieces are there. We just need more. We need more people talking about it and more will to get something done.
We'll be back after a quick break with more from Jase Medical and Dr. Shawn Rowland. You're watching American Medicine Today.
I think everybody was shocked, like, really, you had surgery today? I had a drain tube. I was at my desk doing payroll for 200 employees, worked till night, got up, went to bed.
Actually, the recovery was great. I mean, I really immediately felt the difference. I was able to go back to work within a couple of days.
The progress after each procedure was amazingly good. The recovery, all told, has been phenomenal.
We went to the Bonati Institute, and that was the turning point in my life. This type of surgery is so much more advanced, and the recovery time is so much less that it's just a no-brainer. If you've got pain, go to Bonati.
This is the honest to God truth. And was recovering, I didn't feel anything. The pain that I was suffering is gone. I can go back to work in like 3 days.
The surgeries that I had, actually, I recovered very easily from, I would say. I actually went to work the following afternoon.
6 days after surgery, I was back in the gym, slowly but surely working my way back to fighting, back to basically 100% of fighting, so 6 days, and everybody wasn't all like, didn't you just get out of surgery? I'm like, yeah, I feel great. And like, okay, let's see how you do. And I was bowling with everybody, and I'm in the advanced class. So that sounds a lot right there.
First time I came in here was Monday, and today is Thursday. I've had 2 surgeries and am doing fantastic. I'm still in shock that I can walk. That's all within 4 days.
Bonati succeeds where others fail. Welcome back to American Medicine Today. We're continuing our discussion with Dr. Shawn Rowland about Jase Medical and the shortages of drugs within our country. Can we talk about what some of those medications are that are being shorted right now? Some of those diabetes medications, just normal pharmaceuticals, chemotherapy medications, and then what's the consequence to those that need it? How were they able to deal with those shortages, and how is it going to impact them?
So when we talk about which medications are out there, there's the medications that are being talked about today. You mentioned some of them, things like the chemotherapy agents, things like medications for ADHD. But what I think is important to understand is that the list is growing. It changes every day. And while it might not be your medication today, there's just as much of a chance that it could be on it tomorrow. And so really what you've got to take things into your own hands. You've got to talk to your doctor. You've got to approach multiple pharmacies. You've got to go to places like jase.com. And there are things you can do to protect yourself so that if it happens, if it is your medication on the list, you're good to go.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Shawn Rowland, founder and CEO of Jase Medical. Thank you for being on the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Take great care. Well, that wraps up this edition of American Medicine Today. If you would like to see another episode of our program, add us to your streaming channel lineup. Search keyword AMT. If you have any comments or questions, contact us at the numbers below. Or you can tweet at Dr. Bonati using the hashtag American Medicine Today or hashtag AMT. We would like to hear from you.